Hello, guys. Thank you for your patience. Just a little bit of technical difficulties. But now we are here. Unfortunately, our DM, Neil, who is usually here to play 2nd edition Homebrew Dungeons & Dragons with us, is not feeling well today, so he can't take us through our adventure as we normally would go. But we have had some requests for Q&A and for recap, and so we're here just for 1 hour today to chat with you, answer questions, and talk about our characters, things that have happened before, things that are happening now, and things that we hope will happen in this campaign. So I will try to watch chat for questions. So if you have a question, if you do @AnnaProsser in chat, that'll highlight it for me. And then we can also talk about just like how we're feeling about the campaign and all of that. So I, of course, well, actually, why don't we usually spend some time saying, like, how is everybody this week? What are you guys up to? What have you guys been up to this week?
I started doing fitness streams.
Nice.
So I've been really pushing trying to do fitness and nutrition on Twitch. In general, I've always found it really important, and I've been doing a challenge I'm on my 10th week now. So I've been helping take over the fitness Discord that's out there for Twitch already. And then, I started doing fitness streams 2 nights ago. So
that's awesome.
It's been fun, yeah.
I don't know of many streams other than Heroes of Fitness that are doing fitness
That's
streams.
the only one I know of, and I know they do like routines in between, but I'm doing like the full workout routine for like each day. So it's been fun. It's interesting. For sure. So that's new on my part. Other than that, not a whole lot, just streaming.
What about you, Jen?
I came back from Toronto, so that was my main activity this week, getting catch up at work. But yeah, actually my last week was way more interesting than this week so far. I was in Toronto because I took a week off work, which I haven't done in quite a while. And I went there alone, so it was my first trip alone in my entire life.
Really?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, would esports events count as, like, me leaving alone and living alone there? Like, I don't know, because, like, I have something to do. I have a lot of people I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I did fix that in Toronto as well. I ended up, like, I saw a couple people. I saw, like, Van City, who's, like, a CSGO commentator that I knew that lived in Toronto. And I saw Caitlin from StarCraft, was also there, and her boyfriend Brent. And I saw my cousin. I have a cousin there, so I saw her. And I spent like a night alone, like just at my place I rented, which was above a Mexican bar. So every night I'd have music until 2 a.m. That was glorious. I felt like I was living someone else's life. I had to go through the bar and like use the back patio like staircase to reach my apartment door. So every day I'd have to like walk through the bar back and forth. That was glorious.
That's amazing.
I was like, not here to drink, just going home. Bye bye. Don't talk to me. And I had a pretty good adventure with adventure with the Uber driver. Who was super nice, like from an Uber pool.
Oh, cool.
And like I got into the Uber pool, and the atmosphere was like the best Uber I've ever had. Like
really,
everyone was listening to music, everyone was getting along. We were like, it was like magic. And then everyone was like, it can't end. Like we need to like start a coffee shop and like live off this. So I don't know. Like the guy was like, I offer you like to give you my phone number, and if you have no friends, I'll take you out, and I promise I won't be creepy, and I don't want a date with you. And I'm like, aww. And for some reason I believed him, so we did go and got dinner and drinks with his friends, and it was not awkward and not creepy, and he was not trying to hit on me. So I'm proud of him for restoring my faith in random encounters. End of story.
That's great.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure people want to hear about D&D, and Trump is here. He just had to take his dog out, so he'll be right back. But like I said, feel free to ask us any questions in chat. We'll try to answer them. But I was thinking the first question that would be interesting is, when we started with your character, well, compared to now, has your character changed in ways that you didn't think it was going to? Like, is it exactly how you wanted your character to be, or did they kind of surprise you and take on a life of their own, or have you been trying to take your character a certain direction that they don't want to go, anything like that?
Well, at first, what?
You want to go first? Yeah.
Sure. Well, at first, my character was supposed to be like super mysterious. Like you weren't supposed to know much about her, and then she ended up being really good friends with Maribel, which I wasn't expecting for her to do. And then now she's taken more of a nurturing role on to people, like such as our new party member. But that wouldn't have been the case before. She's still a little angry about things that have happened, and there is still a little mystery to her. Like I feel like her story definitely hasn't fully developed yet, but I haven't found like the right spot for it to develop quite yet.
Yeah, we still don't know a lot about your backstory, right?
Yeah, no, nothing.
Yeah.
Pretty much nothing.
What about you, Jen?
I think I was expecting to be meaner, but I knew my character wanted to be clever. So like, I mean, he wants to ally with. He ideally wants to be a captain, but at the same time, like he's patient. He's an elf. Like he's got a lifetime ahead of him. Like they don't age quickly. So I feel like he shouldn't have like the human rush and have a little bit more of an elven patience.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's always waiting for his time to like be a captain, be a pirate. And I think like he's been slightly nicer because he sees like the dynamics of the group and he doesn't want to ostracize himself because he feels he's stronger in the group than alone.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been trying to like play along while still like being himself. So yeah, he's slightly less evil than I think he is in his head. His actions are nicer than his mental state.
Do you think the rest of the party really knows him? Like, do you think they think a certain way of him that's not exactly right, or do you think they pretty much get him?
I don't know. I feel like they do feel like he's not that nice. But somehow, like, nobody has tried to get on his good side either, really. Like, he's just been slightly outcast.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, I think he could have a nice side. I think, in a weird way, he showed him in his manner when he got his slave that he bought. Like, in a weird, messed up way, because he used to be a slave. So, like, he was like, oh, I'll have my own slave and like I'll make him like have a better life than he would have had if he was a slave with someone else. But I think I was trying to play also alongside with his greed and his desire for control, so there was like a mix of everything going on there. Like, oh, it's nice I have a slave, but then he was like, oh, I want to be respected by this person, so like how do I keep like the assistant or the support role from someone while still like, so he still wanted the control, but he still wanted to like do something better for a slave somehow.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like a weird mix.
I've only played Fehana for one session, so there's not been a lot of room for change.
Catch me up on that, because I guess I'll meet you at the next show, but
yeah, it's really funny because I keep forgetting that you didn't meet her because your character was there. Dark Albert was there. He was just like deliriously like, I'm sick, and you couldn't do anything. But to give you a little recap, Fehana was part of the nuns that you guys were visiting, and she basically asked to like join the crew in the quest to find the orb. And
so wait, how did she? I don't get it.
She just like came up to them and was like, "You're leaving this nunnery and you're going to look for this orb, and I know you are, and I want to help."
Okay.
So.
But like, do we trust you?
Well, so good question. I was like, I'm a really good fighter, and Trump was like, well, why don't you prove it? And he set his zombie panther on me.
Yeah.
which my character is not like necessarily ill-equipped to fight. But as you know, when I play with Neil, it's so weird because my dice just tend to be like really horrible. So I like super crit failed twice, and I think, but then either way, the zombie panther bit me in the head with a triple crit, smashed my skull, and the location and severity were such that I would immediately lose all my HP, lose half my wisdom, intelligence, and charisma immediately, permanently.
Half of it?
Yeah, half.
Oh my god.
So I'd basically become, like, very impaired. And this was literally within the first, like, 20 minutes.
Intelligence, charisma, and what?
Basically, your character was almost dead.
But like, wait.
I think it was wisdom, intelligence, and charisma.
So, like, you're pretty... Oh, but you're a fighter, right?
No, I'm a monk.
Fuck.
Yeah. Hello.
So evil.
So, yeah. So then, but because this was in the first, like, 15 minutes of the show, and Neil didn't want to make me have to roll a completely new character yet again, he was like, well, if someone can heal her in the same turn... And so Trellis was like, you idiot, and healed me.
So did you lose your things or no?
No. Neil let me kind of have a pass. Which I give him props
wow. I missed a nice Neil.
for. I know.
A rare.
It was it was a fair pass though, because like he said, it wasn't like I was in full battle, you know? It was like Trellis was looking over me, so it wasn't like, yeah, I mean, it wasn't the like, truly by the book, but it was okay.
It was a practice fight anyways, technically.
Yeah.
A practice fight that turned wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
So like what happened after that?
So hold on, I'm trying to keep track of these questions for later. We went looking for the orb, and then since Trump was leading the way, we followed him.
But like, they accepted you like that? Like, they didn't question, like, oh, a random nun from the order of nuns who hate us and don't want us to find the orb wants to join us.
I mean, I don't know. I did some convincing. It took us a long time. I'm very charismatic. I feel like
next episode, you're gonna have an issue with Darkover.
But to answer the question about, like, a character being different, my Faye kind of, like... I knew that she was going to be kind of a pleaser, you know, because she needed to, like, get in good with this crew and, like, get them to let her join. So I kind of didn't even know how she was going to relate to them, because it was about, like, how can she make herself interesting and desirable to them. So she changed a little bit, but basically just to, like, fit in. Maribel, actually, though, didn't change much, but maybe should have, because when I created that character, she was like a good foil character, meaning that she was a good accessory to other characters. Like, her whole thing was that she didn't really get humanity, and she would, like, misunderstand words, and she would be, like, you know, very gruff and kind of, like, funny. But I realized you kind of need, like, good, helpful characters for that to be funny. And since our crew is a little bit more, like, mysterious and, like, evil, it didn't work as well, because she was just kind of, like, she didn't foil anyone's plans, because everyone's plans are already kind of foiled, in a way. So, that was interesting, and it was kind of a challenge to play. So I'm excited to try out Fehana. But then we had another question, unless there's anything else we want to say on that one.
There's been a couple of questions so far, I think.
Yeah, we had one from Sly Mutha asking, how long have you ladies been D&D fans?
Yes. Go ahead.
Me?
I'll go ahead.
Jen, go.
I'm going?
Yeah.
Actually, since the first ever roleplay show. So, like, I've always wanted to play. I remember, like, even once or twice, like, going to one one of my friends' basement with a couple other friends, and then we're like, oh, let's roll characters. Let's start a campaign someday. Yeah, let's just create characters today. We'll do the campaign next time. So like we spent like an hour and a half creating characters. I had like a couple awesome ones I created, including a monk. It was cool. That was my first ever choice of character was a monk. Just saying. Fun fact. But yeah, we never played. We just created characters like 2 or 3 times, and then that's it. So yeah, I never did that. I even thought once about like LARPing because I had a couple of nerdy friends that did that.
I've always wanted to try that.
I've always had to.
Like they never actually invited me. I played once outside with like the whole swords thing, and we kind of did a fight. And like I did so horrible. Like I'm not meant to be a melee fighter. They gave me a shitty dagger too, because like you know how they make their own weapons. So it's like, oh, Jen, have this shitty dagger no one wants. So yeah, that was interesting. So yeah, I never really played it, so I couldn't say I was a fan before. I was just curious and interested, felt I'd like it. And then I just started with Roleplay D&D, which was like my first exposure. And then I just never stopped.
Yeah, and that was the original vanilla roleplay.
Yeah, it was like the first D&D show on like Twitch or something.
Wow.
Not the first one on Twitch, but definitely the first one that started like the big movement.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fun. And I still like it. I really love D&D. Like I'm still there every Tuesday, like just for D&D to be honest, and to hang out with you guys because like I really stopped streaming. If you guys didn't notice, it's been like 3 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's still my last connection to Twitch. I guess I also hold that to my heart, like my last. Like I could start streaming again, but I don't know. I feel like my focus is on work, so
yeah.
So that's why like D&D doesn't feel like work or streaming to me. So that's why I'm here. It's just fun.
Trump, when did you get interested in D&D?
Man, I can't remember. I think that I must have played at least once in high school. Yes, in high school I played a few times with friends, and that's they got me into it. Had a friend's dad be a really good DM, so
Oh, really?
he was like the cool dad of our games club, I guess. We went there and played a few really old school games of Dungeons and Dragons.
That's awesome. V, what about you?
Well, my first experience with role playing or D&D was actually my older brother when I was like 8 or 9 years old, and he would have friends over. We had a garage, and they would like play around a table, so I'd always want to like play with them, and it just seemed really fun to me, and I liked the fantasy aspect of it, and there'd be dice rolling and all that stuff, making characters. So it was just really fun. It was a way for me to connect with my brother as well. So when I was younger, I was like all about it. But when he went into the military and stuff, I didn't have anybody else to play with after that. So I didn't play for many years until Trump had me fill in for him for one of these shows.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was cool to come back to it because it'd been so long. It was so different than what I was used to. But I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think actually I always wanted to play D&D, but never really had the occasion or anyone to play with. I didn't really know much about it until my husband, Jeff, started playing with Jen on the original vanilla roleplay. And I would like listen to his role-playing, and he's a really good role player, and he's hilarious. And same thing as like the brothers around the table. I was just like, I want to play. Let me play. And I'd have him like tell me what his character did, and then I'd like, I don't know, I really wanted to play along. So then Jen approached me about doing a show on Misscliks of D&D because she liked it so much. So we did the original Pirates edition, Misscliks D&D Pirate Edition.
That was such a good show too. I loved Pirate Edition.
Yeah, lightning really struck that campaign. There was something magical about it. And I specifically remember because we cried all the time. And
really?
Yeah, and Jen and I remember specifically we got together at an event just to like have lunch. And I think we even had someone else with us, but we spent
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 hours talking about our characters in the campaign and like getting really excited and just like talking about them and their personalities and their lives. And the person with us was like so bored, but we were like, isn't this interesting? Let me tell you everything about my character. So we were really, really into it. And you know, it was like our characters just had, by luck, had this amazing chemistry and like
it worked really well.
and it was our first campaign, and it was my first character ever and Miss Harvey's first character ever, so it was like, you know, your first one is kind of special.
I think Lily was one of my best characters as well. Like for some reason,
Lily was a really good character for you.
Yeah. She was
Did your first character die, Anna?
Yeah, they all died. It was like a very poetic, terribly sad ending that they all died together.
Eaten by sharks. Well, one of us died by like leg cutting. And the others died by shark eating.
It was okay, so we were stranded on a desert island because a giant Neil tornado happened. And Miss Harvey's character, Faye, who my new character is named after, in honor of, not after. But anyway, she got hurt. Her like leg got broken in the storm, and it got infected. So we had to perform surgery to try to like stop her from getting gangrene and like dying, basically. And we knew we had like a super high percentage chance of failing, but it was like either she dies 100% or we have like a 10% chance of saving her. So we had like this tearful goodbye where all of us were like holding hands and like telling each other we loved each other, and she was like, if you don't save me, don't blame yourselves, like I appreciate you trying, and blah blah blah.
And we're like, are we doing it, Steph? And she's like, yes, do it. Get my leg. And we're like, no.
And we had to like saw it off. It was awful.
It's like, you have to roll a 14 or higher. And then I roll like a 15 and we're like, okay. Then it's like, it's just for a boost. No, Steph, you need to roll a 12 or higher to live. And then she rolls like a 6 and we're like, no.
All of us were like shocked. And then what happened is like she died. Jen and I are now, Lily and December are stranded on a desert island. And Lily gets this idea that she's going to use this ride the wind spell to ride across the ocean by like this intricate like chaining together of spells that she has.
So
in her mind.
The concept was like all day. I'd like, because I could cast a spell during another spell. Like, so I would like pick up the wind. I can't control it. I'd float everyone from the party with like a rowboat or something with us. Like, I don't know what we made. We crafted a boat. And then I'd ride the wind like 6 times in a row without ever like touching the water. And then at the end of my last ride the wind, we'd like get into this boat. I'd sleep for the night to recharge my ride the winds. And then we'd go the next day until we reached an island.
And December knew that plan sounded completely crazy and would never work. But it was true to December's character to love and do anything that Lily said. So she was like, that's a great idea, Lily. I'll do that with you. And she like did that because she knew that she would die by Lily's side anyway. And so we ended up like the boat got smashed to smithereens and we were like hanging on this like...
Oh yeah, we had like a plank and you were trying to hold me so I could sleep to recharge.
Oh my gosh.
And then I got eaten by a shark.
Caught, and then like sharks were there and it was like so horrible.
It was a
horrible
Shakespearean tragedy.
Painful death. Like I'm still sad that we died there. Like I think about it, I'm like, why did they die? They were so sweet.
Yeah. So if you guys want to check out Misscliks D&D Pirate Edition, there are lots of videos. It was also, I think, our longest campaign.
And there was
it
so
sounds pretty crazy.
Like people are like calling things in chat, like Greenby the pastures when I was like pretending to be a noble or some shit, and I made up like idioms of like halflings. What else happened that was great? There was so many great things.
I just remember the like giant sea turtle and the like water creatures that lived on it.
Oh, there were so many good puzzles too.
Yeah. But anyway, we're here to talk about Seaborn. But this campaign, actually, Seaborn was kind of inspired by a little bit of nostalgia for our seafaring days in Pirate Edition. But we have another question from Jerbear76 that asks, are y'all evil? And I think Jerber means our characters, not ourselves.
I know,
It's
my
asking
real
about our
self.
alignments. We know that Dark Albert is evil because that's been like a central point to your character, right, Jen?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's definitely like evil in his heart, but he's smarter than just to like play evil and have a horrible life.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like sneaky evil.
What about you? Is
That's
Temriel
very
evil, Trump?
You know, it kind of reminds me of high school days where the DM would be, you can't choose neutral and then have evil tendencies, okay? Like, that means you're evil. So anyways, Temriel is neutral with possibly evil tendencies.
Okay.
So, I created him to be neutral, but when you've been dead for 1,500 years in a tomb, you kind of get messed up. He basically serves Tempos and wants to right wrongs in the world, which is technically good, but he's out of touch. And like for example, one of the things I loved doing was eating your bird, Maribel. And the way that I tried to justify that was that in tradition, I didn't get into it on the show, but it made sense to me. In ancient tradition, people would probably want to remember the dead by making sure like that all the dead stuff was taken care of. So I attempted to cook your bird in an effort to boost morale as one final fond farewell to you. So that's the story. That's not evil. It's good with misguided intentions. Anyways, Emil has also done some stuff that might seem evil, but he's just like ruthlessly efficient because after 1,500 years, he realizes that all lives are just a blip.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
It does.
What about
What
you?
about? My character, I would say she isn't evil, but those who are evil, she doesn't like. So she has no problem taking them out.
That means you're good.
Yep.
It's like the opposite of evil.
Yes. But we don't know after, losing Maribel and dealing with some of the stuff in the party. Who knows? Who knows what could affect her now?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Things have been kind of crazy for poor Trellis.
Yep.
Fehana's so new that I don't think I've really even revealed her true nature yet. So I think we should just wait on that. But Maribel was definitely just chaotic neutral. Just 100% whatever struck her at the time as the right thing to do, she did that.
Yeah. Trump didn't get to answer the question about his character development, what we first answered.
Yeah, we asked with our characters when we started playing them versus now, have they changed from what you originally intended at all? Or are they pretty similar?
Did we go into like original characters like Maribel?
Yeah,
I was only doing Maribel because Fehana is so new that she doesn't really have any development.
Okay, I'll do like a 30-second blurb on my first character then. So Bruno was my first character. I created him to kind of be good and as a moral compass to what would no doubt be an evil party. I thought you guys might have been evil. So I was like, yeah, it'll be cool to like play a good character in an evil campaign. And that was Bruno. He was pretty useless. It turns out that bards at level whatever we were 4 aren't very good. I don't know why. Maybe I was playing it wrong, but I couldn't seem to do anything. But that became comical in its own way. After I died, it was very fortunate that the group actually came about like a skeleton priest of Tempos, and Neil was kind enough and it fit well enough since Trellis's V. Parleflaw's character Trellis managed to talk Temriel out of fighting the group and into joining instead. Or rather, they begged for mercy, I think was how it came on, and Temriel accepted them into his crew. So the way that I approached Temriel is I figured, okay, so he's 1,500 years old. He has some really ancient traditions in mind. He's a priest of Tempos, so I'm just going to play this very dedicated priest of Tempos. I usually play like value-oriented characters, but you might have noticed that I've been very willing to not even take a share of any loot and just give it to the group. And I don't care about such baubles and things because after 1,500 years, what is a small amount of fortune? what are some lives in the way for the grand scheme? So that's Tamriel's grand vision. The small details don't matter. All that matters is carrying out Tempos' ultimate will.
That makes a lot of sense. That's a cool character perspective to have. The like, I've been around so long that a lot of things that matter to people don't matter to me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah, I haven't outright ever stated that, obviously, and some of you have probably gotten the perspective that I'm cold and like a terrible captain who doesn't care or something. But now you get the inner thoughts of what I truly am. I just want to see the world get righted and continue on for a few more centuries as opposed to like ending to some calamity. So in some ways, I'm an anti-hero.
That's cool.
I'm pretty sure Albert appreciates your coldness. Makes him feel...
Your character and mine seem to be working together well.
Yeah.
This will be good for our role playing too. Now that we like getting any extra insight into each other's characters, I think is
Yeah.
The next question comes from Ninja Rock 92. It's specifically at me. What made me think to play a Minotaur? I wanted to play like someone really weird. I wanted originally to do something based kind of on Seven of Nine, who, if you don't know, is from Star Trek Voyager, and she was part of the Borg, but then was rescued from the Borg, so she's like human, but also kind of not human. She's amazing. And part of the reason I wanted to play her was because she's like unfailingly logical, which is kind of fun, but also like very comical in sometimes because she doesn't understand human culture and she kind of thinks it's silly, but then kind of wants to be part of it. So that was what Maribel was modeled after. And then I wanted her to be like, I didn't want to play a full Minotaur because it was a little too railroading me into something and it didn't fit the like tension. So I made her a half Minotaur, and her Minotaur half and her last name were actually inspired by Tyrant, the Minotaur that Jeff in Control played on our show for a brief period during, I think it was Demigods?
It was so good.
Yeah. He played a really hilarious Minotaur. And you can see him in Demigods on the YouTube videos if you want to check that out. It was hilarious.
Demigods was also a pretty good series.
Yeah, Demigods was great. Every series has been great for its own reasons.
Well, I mean, except the one that like ended in like 2 shows.
Outbreak?
Yeah.
Ended in like 2 shows?
Like 3. It was a failure.
But from Outbreak came Evelyn, the character that I now play on Dice Camera Action, the Wizards of the Coast show. Yeah. And I think the way you feel about Lily is the way I feel about Evelyn. She's like my heart character, like my one.
Your spirit animal character.
Yeah. So, and she...
I don't even remember, like, what did I do in that Outbreak show? Who did... Like, I remember only Evelyn, to be honest. Was I a kid?
No. Stephanie was a kid. Miss Harvey was a kid.
Yeah. What was I?
I think you were... I don't know. We'll have to look back, or someone in chat will tell us.
I don't know what I was. Wait, I'll pull up my character sheet.
Wow, just a few moments ago you were telling me how like your first game when Jeff introduced you. So how long ago did you start?
Well, this show has been going for what, like 3 years now, Jen? 3 and some? Yeah. So I think he must have started like 4 years ago.
It's probably been like 3 years of really steady play then. It seems like you have some really interesting stories.
It is pretty amazing how many hours of Dungeons & Dragons we've played. Like, we actually got featured in this article that was on Geek and Sundry, I think, about, like, D&D shows to watch every day of the week. And the way they described Misscliks was, like, they said something to the effect of, like, they have tons of shows. And I was like, we only have one show a week, but I realized they were looking at our YouTube, and if you look at our YouTube under all of our Dungeons & Dragons playlists, there's just hours and hours and hours and hours of Dungeons & Dragons, because we played every week, and we used to play 4 hours every week. So we did 4 hours every week for the last 3.5 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then on top of that, we've done a couple weird campaigns like Nimmergeist, where we played Dungeons & Dragons for 12 hours straight for 2 days in a row.
In person, in real life. It was amazing. I loved it. I cried so much of laughter.
I don't remember having laughed that hard
Like
sense.
Trial by Pie was like the best thing ever. I cried like when Steven said it. I cried like 2 hours after. I cried the next morning when I remembered we were at Trial by Pie.
I still get kind of like teary-eyed laughing about it. But again, this is about Seaborn. Someday we should do a Misscliks D&D like retrospective and tell you all the best moments and like maybe show you. That'd be a really fun show. That's a good idea.
We should all bring like our favorite moments and
Yeah. But the next question about Seaborn comes from Dr. Tynathan. What is each of your favorite D&D versions / pen and paper RPG systems?
Ooh. I can't say I have a specific favorite because, like I said, I played when I was younger and I don't remember what it was. I'm probably 2E. But now, like, this is the only thing I've played so far. There have been some interesting ones I've heard about, like old school RPGs. Sound really interesting. I was hearing more about that before, so that's something that would be fun to try.
I think mine is probably 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. I really like it. I also really like, for playing with friends, I really like Dungeon World because it's collaborative and you kind of build the world together. And I especially like that for one-offs too, or like short engagements because it's like, we've just had some really good like fun lightning strikes creative moments with that. Like we did one-off where I want to say Steven might have been the DM. I don't know.
What was the theme?
What? Okay, the one that I'm thinking of, we had I did one where I was the DM, and I remember everything was candy, and that was really
Yeah, I
fun.
remember that show.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So anyway, yeah, I'd say that. What about you, Trump? Do you have any favorite in particular?
Oh, I was just looking up. Do you happen to know off the top of your head the system which is like cyberpunk and is like a really big system? I'm sure someone knows it. That is not my favorite system. I wanted to compare and contrast it with 5th edition, which some of Chad is saying is like really good because it's really simple and easy to get people into. And I agree with that. So based off of that, I think 5th edition is good. I think personally, I would have a lot of interest in doing like something not necessarily horror, but maybe horror. It would be like a modern show where it's just tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I happen to like all of them. 5th edition because it's simple, and yes, Shadowrun is thinking chat. That is exactly the one. So I was going to DM a Shadowrun campaign for my friends, and then we looked at it, and it was just so difficult to get into. There are so many options. Unlike, I think 5th edition's strength is that it has, I don't think it lost too much for the simplicity it gained, and the character creation is way better now. In Shadowrun, it was so difficult to get started, and I was like, wow, I don't even know what these things do when I was reading through like the scenario. So 5th edition.
That happened to me with the Star Wars role-playing games. Because I really wanted to get into those because I love Star Wars, but the same thing, I opened the book and I was just like, I can't. What about you, Jen?
So, my favorite one. What do you think is my favorite one? I think I already said it though. I might have spoiled it in the past.
I don't know. I would guess 2E. I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
It is 2E?
My favorite is 2nd edition. I think probably like, I guess not for the nostalgia that Niels gets with 2nd edition because I have no nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it was the first I played, but like I haven't played it enough to be like, oh yeah, when I was 8 years old and playing 2nd edition. I think it's because I really like the rules. Like playing wizard and cleric in 2nd edition is like you can make really clever combos of spells.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that to be like the most fun. Maybe it's because of my law school background or something, but like I love challenging the DM to like bending spells together to make something crazy happen. And that makes me really happy. And I feel like we have less of that in 5th edition. But what I really like about 5th is like my second best pick is that they gave that cleverness you can have with wizard to like every single character. So I feel like it's a better experience for everyone, but it's not as exciting for clerics or wizards because it was so good in second. That like they had to like balance everything to have it like fair play for everyone.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but it's really fun. Like I had a blast playing. Like I created a tank wizard with 5th edition. Like how crazy is that? I had like infinite health. I was like an abjuration wizard, and I had like a ward that like I carried with me. And if you hit me, like at first you'd like take energy from the ward. So I was like, I had like infinite HP. It was great. It was tank noosh. The tank days.
Neil would definitely say 2nd edition.
Yeah.
And the reasons he's told me he likes 2nd edition, it's interesting because 5th edition is probably my favorite because of what you said, Jen, that it's really easy to just kind of feel overpowered, which is fun for me. Like I think the reason I play D&D is to feel like I'm so cool and I get to do cool adventure-y things, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's the whole point of it. Whereas Neil enjoys D&D, and I'm not speaking for him, but from what I understand, he's told me, he enjoys like the rules and the fact that anything can happen and sometimes you are weak and you have to run away, and like he likes the brutality of the game.
Yeah, I also
Of course he does.
Yeah. So
I like that too, but I wonder why can you have that in 2nd edition but not in 5th?
I don't
It's
know if
'cause
you
there's,
can or
like-
can't, just that it's
I
maybe
think you
more
can
conducive.
have it less because of the death mechanics of 5th.
Yeah,
like,
5th saves
you
you
have,
from
like-
death really easily.
You have like 3 shots at like rolling, and if you roll a 20, you like come back to life randomly, which I guess is like, I'm sure Neil could like homebrew more brutality, but he didn't.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. Like when you die in 5th edition, you still have a few chances not to be dead, and it's a little easier to make a character that feels a little more powerful. It seems like.
Yeah, it's true. We
Yeah, I mean, I have to
like,
admit
these
though, kind of going
characters-
back to Bruno in the early time, like he was pathetic.
Yeah,
I tried,
It's easy to
I
be
did.
pathetic in 2E.
I tried so hard. It wasn't like just me trying to roleplay a terrible person. I like tried my best, but I was like basically less good than Ryan, it seems.
So, here's a question that's kind of about Misscliks in general, not Seaborn, that I can take from Hunyadij. Are you surprised that the show Seaborn is so much more popular than anything else on Misscliks? What do you think is most important to Seaborn's success? I think, we've been doing this show way longer than anything else on Misscliks. It was the first show that we ever did, and it's still going. So the Twitch viewers really like habits. They really like to know something's happening every single week. So we've tried really hard to do this.
And it's
weekly.
still the same day and the same schedule
Yeah.
as it used to be, except like half an hour later, but like
Right.
it's very, very close.
And then the second part is that usually people who are on this show, like all of these people around me tend to have followings. And so there are
Yeah.
people who like to follow them and like to watch this show. And that's true with some of our other shows as well, but some of them are more like starting out. And part of what Misscliks was meant to do was, you know, have a show like this that maybe brings some eyeballs, and then have Misscliks kind of be a platform for other shows like that, but then also shows where people are like, I don't really have a following, I need a community to build my show out in. Can I come broadcast on Misscliks and have a built-in community that's safe and has infrastructure and that can help me? So that's why this show maybe is usually a little bit more highly viewed. Let's see. I saw a really great question that I wanted to answer, and I'm just trying to remember who it was from. Oh, Mahjong Holic asked, has everyone watched Stranger Things, and did you think it portrays D&D in a positive way? Have you guys watched Stranger Things?
Yeah, I did.
I thought it portrayed D&D in a perfect way because it was like these kids having a real life grand adventure, and you know, using D&D as kind of an allegory for how you, as a child, you have this innocent belief in adventure, basically. So I really liked it. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was, a good portrayal. Like, I like the, when they were referring to, I can't remember which character, like the Chabalaka or whatever.
The Demogorgon?
Huh?
Demogorgon.
Yeah, that. I just invented a name. But like, they were like, the Demigorgon! And then there's like an evil being in the world, and they just call it the Demigorgon. Like, I really like that. And I think their characters were pretty interesting too. Like, overall, like, Eleven is pretty cool. I could see her being a D&D character, like, straight up.
Yeah.
Dude, that'd be fun to play. Yeah.
That show is so good. Like I thought the character development was really good. Even just like the opening. Like by the time the opening was done, I was like, that's like its own part right there. Like at the time they got to the credits, you're like, wait a minute, so much has happened already. The only thing I don't like, and I'm not gonna say what it is I don't like the way they wrapped up the ending.
There was a lot of open doors in that ending.
There's too many open doors.
Actually, it's funny because I thought the opposite. Like in a lot of series I saw, they straight up closed no doors at season finale.
Yeah.
And it pisses me off so much. And I thought they like wrapped up like kind of like the main, like it could end like that with no season 2, and I feel we'd have like most of it.
No, there's so much. I feel like they rushed the last episode. I feel like they should have split it in 2 and wrapped up at least 1 or 2 more things, and then okay, throw us into season 2. That's fine. But I feel like they're gonna get used to that every season. You're never gonna get things wrapped up, and I don't want it. I don't think it's a show that needs to go forever. Like I feel like this show is like a few seasons, and it's almost like a really long, awesome movie.
It is kind of like a long movie.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll put it on my to watch list.
It's
oh my gosh,
really
it's so good.
And I think it also gets at something that I think has been really important about D&D for me, which is that it teaches you think outside the box creativity and like stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah.
And like approaching problems in a new way and empathy and stuff like that. And those kids show that, and it's like very seamlessly wrapped into like the fact that they play D&D. So I like that little subtle message, because people think of D&D as like a dorky thing, but it's also like really cool human thing to do.
Well, it was also really cool the way the kids stepped up. I forget, what was the kid's name? The one with the curly hair. He's like the little bigger kid. He just like stepped up and like was pretty much like, all you guys need to shush. Yeah. Like, this is what we're doing. This is exactly what I'm just like, whoa, where did you come from?
Shake his hand. Yeah.
So good.
Okay. Griffin of Falcon Hollow asks, any chance we could get you to try Savage Worlds? I don't know. Maybe. But I think on this show in particular, Seaborn, it's pretty much always going to be 2E, because that's why Neil wants to DM for us. Because we let him play 2nd edition, and not a lot of people are really into 2nd edition.
I think we're the last 2nd edition show that like...
We're the only one I know.
Really?
Like, he may be running on his channel a 2nd edition. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, of like his other shows, like I think we might be the only 2nd edition one still running.
As far as I know, we're the only 2nd edition show out there, and that's the reason we've had a couple cool guests, like Patrick Rothfuss, who's an author. Yeah. He heard that we played 2nd edition and was like, I'd love to play with you sometime, because I love 2nd edition and would love to play 2nd edition.
Cool.
Yeah. And he's on Acquisitions Incorporated, the like really big Wizards Dungeons & Dragons show. So that was fun. He played Red Fox, was his character.
That was so good.
That was really fun.
Another person I loved having was Sir Scoots.
Oh my gosh. Sir Scoots is a really good role player. Really, really good. He played Captain Stormy Silverblade.
It was so
in
good.
The Pride Edition. Which, speaking of which, we should have Captain Stormy come back in Seaborn.
Oh yeah, he should.
Very cool.
He's so nice.
Yeah.
I also have a dream about bringing back Ryan. I know I messaged it privately, but like, Anna, imagine the battle of the bad rolls between you and Ryan. Like, what happens?
Yeah, that'd be
like,
really
I want to see that. Like, I want to know what happens when you two are playing together. Who gets the worst roll? Like, does magic happen and you both get good rolls, or just like you emerge victorious from the hell of wands and like Ryan stays there forever?
That's a really good idea. What you said when you said Ryan, I was thinking of the NPC Ryan, and it also made me think that Return of Hogu and Ryan would be really hilarious.
Yeah, no, I was talking about the Ryan from MLG Ryan.
Yeah. Here's a good question from Hunyadij again. What other D&D shows would you recommend for those who love Seaborn? What shows would be similar or liked by fans of Seaborn? I'm going to first say that Misscliks does have another role-playing show. We've had a myriad, and they're all on YouTube, but we have a current show that's on every Wednesday, so you can get your fix Tuesday and Wednesday. It's called Misscliks D&D Prophecy, and it is hilarious. It's hilarious. I love watching that show. They always have such a good time. They kind of have that same, like we were talking about that, like first show feeling with Pirate Edition. They kind of have that, and they have hilarious chemistry with all their characters. And so they're on Wednesday nights, I think starting at 6, same as us. So first and foremost, I'd suggest you watch that. And I don't know, do you guys have other suggestions?
I don't know of many others that are like this or any other shows like this.
I would also say Dice Camera Action, which is the show I do on the Wizards of the Coast channel, WOTC_D&D, right before this show. So that starts at 4 p.m. Pacific and goes to 6, and then this show goes from 6 to 9. And that's with Chris Perkins, who is the Dungeons and Dragons DM who works for Wizards. So that's been really fun. I'm
pretty sure there's like still shows going on like the roleplay channel.
There are, yes.
I know a lot of them stopped, so I'm not following anymore like I used to, but I know there was one I really liked on like, I think it was Saturdays, and it was like a weird world that Steven created. Can't remember the name, but that was really nice. But I think that's over.
But yeah, I mean, basically the entire roleplay franchise is on It Me JP, his channel, and that their format of shows is very, very similar to ours, because it was, you know, ours was made right after the original roleplay and similar style, and most D&D shows, I guess, are similar style, but you'd really like those. And then, of course, there are the ones officially made by Wizards. There's the ones made by Geek and Sundry. Check out that article we tweeted a while ago that's like D&D shows for every day of the week. That's a good place to go. Let's see. We only have a few more minutes. Do we have any more questions? I guess not. So actually, this is a good time to wrap up. Like I said, the reason we did this is because Neil is sick, and we like to have some time to recap and think about our characters. And I've enjoyed learning about everybody else's character and the way they think about D&D. Let's give shout outs or anything else that people are doing in the coming days or weeks that people can follow.
For me, all I have is same thing, doing fitness streams at night. Gonna try to move them during the day, I think would be a little better. But and then PAX West, I have a signing at the Twitch booth. Yay! And on Sunday, and then nothing else pretty much there yet. That's it for me and streams.
Anything coming up for you, Trump?
Yeah, I'm gonna go get a signature from the one, the only Vipar Lafleur.
So if you want to meet Trump, go to Vipar Lafleur's meetup.
Well, I'll be at PAX West also. It's gonna be exciting. It's coming up in just a little more than a week.
Is there a competition there for Hearthstone that I need to enter ahead of time?
There is a competition, but it is not open. It's the culmination of a lot of months.
All right.
I'm probably going to be doing some kind of VR thing, maybe on a stage, so that's going to be fun. People get to see me flail. Probably a vibe.
Nice. Jen?
I don't know much about it yet, but that'll be fun.
Cool.
Not doing anything. I just work.
Just making Rainbow Six.
Yeah, just making Rainbow Six. Still making Rainbow Six. It's been 3 years and a half now. And we have an awesome team. And we're still building, still fighting. And yeah, I don't know. It will never be over, I guess. We have a fight. It's growing. I don't know if people saw that, but we finally announced it. Our player base is bigger than it's ever been, even at launch.
Wow. And
it's still growing. So that's really exciting, to be honest. That makes me super happy. And we just launched our anti-cheat battle eye. And we, in one ban wave, we banned 3.8 thousand people, I think.
Wow.
So at last, the cheaters are gone. Well, I mean, there's probably still some, but most of the cheaters are gone. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think our game's at a pretty good state. It's been a long road, and we still have more ahead, but it's nice. It feels good. That's it.
Awesome. As for myself, I'm going to be at PAX West hosting at the Twitch booth and doing lots and lots of cool stuff there. There will be a lot of Misscliks visibility there. A lot of people from Misscliks are going to be there, so be sure to watch the Misscliks Twitter at Misscliks to see stuff that our cast and crew are up to at PAX West, and come say hi. And also, as every week, I will be on Twitch Weekly this coming Friday, so watch for that. And don't forget to watch Prophecy tomorrow at 6 p.m. on this channel if you like Dungeons and Dragons. You will love it. Yeah, thank you for joining us for this chat. It's been great. We will be back next week. No. We will do something next week. We will probably have a one-off next week because Neil is going to be gone. But we're in the works of figuring out what that will be. And we will let you know. So the best thing to do is follow this channel, follow Misscliks on Twitter, and we'll keep you updated. Thank you guys for coming. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.